I find most mysteries in fiction to be not very compelling. This might surprise you since I'm a wannabe Deltarune theory YouTuber, but a lot of stories centered on mysteries like, oh no, I wonder who the serial killer is, feel to me more like logic puzzles that take too much time to play out than like sincere representations of themes and real people and aspects of the real human experience. Also, at the heart of most lengthy TV series, there's something we're supposed to wonder about, some big question we're supposed to ask about this or that character, and sometimes it ends up only being there to string us along without providing any real value. Or worse, that question is answered and the answer is unsatisfying, anticlimactic, or contradictory to the series' themes. So whenever I see a book or a show or a game where the main thing that's intended to draw in an audience is a mystery, it simply doesn't work on me. To be clear, this is a me thing, not an attempt at actually evaluating this sort of media. In fact, now that I think about it, this entire video is more personal reflection than media analysis, and that's fine with me. I'm sure somewhere there are mystery novels with well-written characters and important things to say about their themes. I'm sure sometimes when you get invested in a question about a lengthy TV series, that investment eventually pays off. It's just that those things are no longer to my taste. I've been burned one too many times, and that curiosity, that magic, has evaporated. But even with my cynicism about all this, there are some mysteries in a few specific video games that I have gotten deeply invested in before I even realized, and that investment was rewarded more richly than I ever could have imagined. So I want to talk about those mysteries and what sets them apart from the rest. In Undertale, there are several mysteries, but they're not the main draw. When you first get started, you're immediately hit with the good soundtrack, the well-written characters, and the mercy mechanic. There's no trick to it, no situation where you're like, oh, this isn't very entertaining or thought-provoking, but I really want to know the answer to this one question, so I'll keep going. No, the game's value and quality is apparent as you are playing it. It's only later, after you're already hooked, that you're introduced to the mysteries of Sans, Flowey, and of course, Dr. W.D. Gaster. Hollow Knight takes this a step further. When you first start playing, not only are there no pressing questions to be answered, you don't even know that there will be a story at all. You might simply think it's an exploration simulator with good art and a few bits of lore thrown in here and there. Some interesting texts, some bug corpses, some shells of little creatures that look like you, and in terms of it being the beginning of a game, that's good enough that it's worth playing for at least a few dozen hours. But once you get to the middle of the game, the City of Tears, and then later when you experience the birthplace cutscene, you realize, oh, there actually is a narrative here, and all that lore, all that world building starts to fall into place. It becomes more than just, oh, that's some good art, more than just set dressing. It becomes a collection of jigsaw pieces that you can put together, and once you solve the puzzle, it rewards you not just with satisfying answers, but with one of the greatest and most inspiring stories that has ever been told. Now, a story can open with a question or with some other attempt at getting you more curious about something, but for me, that question cannot be the only thing that's supposed to make everything else worth engaging with. There needs to be something substantial right away. Not just for the reasons I stated earlier, but also because I am constantly being inundated with media recommendations, and I have ADHD, depression, and a variety of other mental health symptoms that make it difficult to finish things, and I have very specific tastes. I'm not going to go into my entire mental health profile here, but the point is, I barely finish half the things I start, and I don't start new things that often to begin with. So if a piece of media fails to show its value to me within the first, 2 chapters, I'm out. That might sound harsh, but I have so little emotional energy that I simply cannot afford to waste time. So far, I've basically said 2 things. 1, I don't like most mysteries. 2, hey, look at these cool video games that are actually good to begin with, slowly weave their mysteries together while also giving you an experience that's worthwhile and thematically interesting in and of itself, and present those mysteries in a genuinely compelling yet understated way so you can engage with them on your own terms. Wow, it's almost like in order to craft a good fictional mystery, you must first know how to craft good fiction. But I promise this is going somewhere. You see what I did there? You get it? You get it? Like, why do we care so much about the mysterious Dr. W.D. Gaster? There are many, many fictional mysteries out there, plenty of which are newer, plenty of which are arguably creepier, and plenty of which we have far more information about. Like, at this point, the mystery of Dr. W.D. Gaster is several years old and still unsolved, and it may remain unsolved until the end of time. And yet, we still care. So why? There are several reasons people care about the Gaster mystery so much. It's thematically relevant to both its games, it ties back into established characters we already care about, and the clues themselves provide a worthwhile experience. Gaster, as this non-entity on the edge of reality that you can only get by rare chance or by fiddling with fun values, is tied to the idea of timelines and of using your godlike power as the player to bend the rules, to make things that are not quite supposed to happen for better or worse, and that's very Undertale of him. Gaster, as this scientist trapped in the dark, this puppet master running an experiment, is tied to the ideas of darkness and freedom and the conflict between Chris and the player, and that's very Deltarune of him. So if you care about the game's themes, and chances are you do, you're going to care about the Gaster mystery, or at least how it connects back to them. In Undertale, Gaster has a connection to Sans and Alphys, and in Deltarune, Gaster has a connection to Jebel and Spamton. So if you care about any of these characters, and again, chances are you do, you're going to care about the Gaster mystery, or at least you'll wonder what sort of relationship he had with these people before, or possibly after, he retconned himself out of reality. But most of all, whenever you run into a Gaster-related clue, it's exciting not just because of the mystery surrounding him, it's because it's good. You've already seen the Gaster followers' dialogue and entry 17, but I want to go over them again. Not because I think I can squeeze any more information out of them, but just to appreciate them for what they are. I understand why Asgore waited so long to hire a new royal scientist. The previous one, Dr. Gaster, his brilliance was irreplaceable. However, his life was cut short. One day, his experiments went wrong and, well, I needn't gossip. After all, it's rude to talk about someone who's listening. Have you ever thought about a world where everything is the same, except you don't exist? Everything functions perfectly without you. Haha, the thought terrifies me. Alphys might work faster, but the old royal scientist, Dr. W.D. Gaster? One day he vanished without a trace. They say he shattered across time and space. Haha, how can I say so without fear? I'm holding a piece of him right here. Dark. Darker yet darker. The darkness keeps growing, the shadows cutting deeper. Photon readings negative. This next experiment seems very, very interesting. What do you two think? This is not just stringing the audience along. This is a very, very interesting and deeply impactful discussion about death and non-existence done through well-worded dialogue from characters with memorable designs. So even if the full truth of Gaster is not revealed until much later or at all, the search itself was worth doing. But there are some mysteries, even good mysteries, that do have to be resolved in order for the stories they're in to make sense, and I want to talk about those too, and how they serve a different purpose than the Gaster mystery does in Undertale and Deltarune. The Gaster mystery, at least in Undertale, is not relevant to the main plot, and it doesn't have to be. You don't need to see any Gaster-related events to get the commentary on saving, loading, violence, and standard video game storytelling conventions. So Toby Fox didn't have to give us a resolution, so he didn't. He may in the future, but for now, nothing. In Hollow Knight, however, we did need a satisfying answer to the mystery of the vessels in the ruined state of the kingdom in order for the plot to make sense, so we got one. The clues were interesting in and of themselves, yes, but they were also part of a larger story. There are other mysteries in Hollow Knight, like that of the ancient civilization that worshipped the Void, that are relevant thematically and character-wise, but not to the plot, so most of those remain just as unsolved as the Gaster mystery, if not more so. So, I don't think more resolution is inherently bad, or less resolution is inherently bad, or that mysteries should or should not be connected to the main plot. A mystery, at the end of the day, is part of a larger story, part of a larger world. So, I believe that if we need answers for the larger story to work, then we should get answers, even if I also believe that each installment should have artistic merit in its own right. At the beginning of this video, I said that this would be more personal reflection than media analysis, that this was just my opinion, but I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way that I do. So I hope more game developers start constructing mysteries with substance behind them, I hope more people start thinking about mysteries and moving the conversation forward, and most of all, I hope that the work that these indie developers put into their games will be recognized, that they'll be recognized as the master storytellers that they are. Anyways, I just remembered my toast is burning, so I should probably